Hello everyone, Vanguard of Valor here, and welcome to this war of mine. So this war of mine is a fairly interesting and unusual game. To give you a quick rundown of what we're getting into here, this war of mine is a war game. But it's not a war game where you play as, an army fighting PMCs, or rebels fighting a corrupt government, or anything along those lines. In this war of mine, you take the role of a citizen, a survivor, trying to get by in a war-torn city. You have a couple survivors in a dilapidated old building, partially destroyed already by the damages of the war. You have to survive through raiders, through cold weather, through the lack of food, through sickness, and through all kinds of other problems. You may be forced to kill or steal to get what you need, and things can get a little bit grim. But the challenge is just to survive, as it says in the bottom right. How you do it is up to you. So we're going to be playing a little bit of this war of mine today. I've played it before a little bit. I haven't completed a game of this yet. I've been playing it on stream for the last week or two, and I've been really enjoying it, so I thought I'd come and do a run for YouTube as well. So we're going to be playing it through here and seeing how it goes. So, let us get ready to give this a shot. Here it goes. We're going to do our best to survive. May freeze up a little bit here, as it always seems to. Nope, it worked fine this time. Here we are in day one. As we pan across to our dilapidated home, full of rubble and junk. Let's see who our survivors are. And this is our lovely abode. Surrounded in the capital by the government military, the rebels refuse to surrender. Caught in the middle of the fighting, with no running water or phones, struggling with lack of food and medication, are civilians. In a civil war, everyone is affected, one way or another. Roman used to fight for the rebels, but he became disillusioned and ran away. Erica came to the capital, fleeing persecutions in her hometown. Bruno has been cut off by the siege from his home and his dearest friend. Homeless, on the run, and with nothing to lose but their lives, they band together to survive. So these are our three heroes, or not heroes. We have Erica, who sneaks quietly. We have Roman, who's trained in combat, and we have Bruno, who's a good cook. They have all kinds of traits about them, but we know very little about their pasts. So we have not a whole lot of time before we get started here. We're going to get our people to examine the place in which they find themselves, start sifting through the rubble, and seeing if we can find any goods lying around in the house. So in the first cabinet or pile of junk we search here, we're lucky enough to find some raw food, a lockpick, some random components, a little bit of water, and some planks of wood. Not a bad start for us, but we're going to need to go gather a whole bunch of resources here if we plan to survive this mess. We're going to send Roman over to examine stuff over here. We're going to have Erica break through this door, take the boards off, and she'll be able to get into this room. In here we find a mechanical part, some sugar, a little bit of water, weapon parts, and electronic parts, all of which will be useful in helping us survive later on. Bruno, you're going to come down to the bottom here, I suspect. In another cabinet we find a bit more sugar, some more weapon parts, and some more electronic parts. This is not necessarily a bad start for us. Getting a bunch of these components early on may be very useful. There's, however, a lot more junk for us to sift through, so we're going to get our people to move around and see what they can find in here. The sooner we can find valuable goods, the better. Having access to these various rooms is useful as well. There's a bunch more components, sugar, water, and wood, all of which will be useful. And some more food, components, sugar, and wood. We'll take it. We'll be able to trade these things with various people who come across us as we go. You need to go through here, Roman. Break down that door. We want to make sure all these doors are openable, just so that we can get around our house. There we go. I could lockpick my way through into this door, but that'll mean that I'm unable to do anything else in here necessarily. This also appears to be locked, so if we can't get in there, it's not going to do us any good. This room does appear to have an open cabinet, though, so if we head down to here and lockpick this door with Erica, we might be able to get some valuable stuff in there. Let's have Roman check this cabinet and see what else we can find in our starting place. Found ourselves a lockpick again. That'll be useful. Lockpicks are very valuable for us at the beginning of the game, so we can get into all these cabinets and get everything we need. 2 more mechanical parts, another gun part, and some electronic components. Very nice. And we're going to have Roman dig through this rubble and see if he can clear that out the way for us as well. We'll also have Erica deal with this rubble while we clear some stuff up here. Now you'll notice there's some other stuff going on screen while we're all digging, and it takes us a long time since we have no tools. There's a lot of stuff going on screen. There's outside over here. People can come to the door, ask us for things, or greet us, or give us messages, or trade. We have our food over here, with various types of food, which we'll be able to use to keep our people from starving. We've also got a medicine cabinet in here, which allows us to apply things like bandages and medicine to keep our people from being too badly wounded. We've got ourselves a workshop over here, where we'll be able to build a variety of things to help us survive our terrible ordeal here. We've got all of our character portraits, all of which have their own stories. If we click on their bios, we can find out a bit about each of them. Bruno. Before the war, I used to own a restaurant. I even had my own TV show, Bruno's Cuisine. I'm sure you've seen it. I visited beautiful places where I was filmed cooking exquisite dishes. All that seems of no importance now, don't you think? Nowadays, you're lucky if you get your hands on some canned meat or a bag of rice. And who knows how long this war is going to last. We've also got Roman. I never thought I'd end up running and hiding from my buddies, but that's how things turned out. We were like brothers, and now I'm a dead man to them. My crew had ruled the hood since we were teens until just before the war. Then some of us got drafted, like my best friend Leon. Others like me volunteered for the militia. It was going to be the ultimate showdown, and every one of us wanted a piece of the action. Roman's also a smoker, so we're going to have some problems with cigarettes here because we have 2 smokers already. And Erica, what about you? I'm a simple girl from the hood, and I know life. Street raised me more than my father did. That old sot beat me whenever he felt like it and knew how to make it hurt. That's all over now. He bit the dust in the first days of the war. I've been a cat burglar since I turned 14. You know how it is. I'm better at it than anyone you know, and I can sneak like a fox. You'd be a fool kicking me out. So we have 3 smokers in our group here. That's going to potentially be a problem, because if we can't get access to cigarettes, that's going to make them all pretty annoyed. And if we do get cigarettes, they're going to go through them very quickly. Let's have Bruno examine here and see what's inside. Ooh, some herbs, okay. A knife, wow! We get to start with a knife? That's an awesome thing to find so early on. We actually start with a weapon, wow. We also have 2 mechanical components, 2 more water, another weapon part, and electronic components. Excellent! That is a really nice thing for us to find so early. I'm not going to complain about that at all. Alright, let's send you down here and see if these doors are locked, Bruno. Awesome. So we actually have a knife already. So if we need to be aggressive, we have ways to be aggressive. Alright, Erica, take a look in here. What do you see? Wow, 2 jewels in there? Interesting. This cabinet has 2 pieces of sugar, 1 broken pistol, which we won't be able to use for quite a while. We might be able to repair someday and turn to a working gun. And 2 pieces of jewelry, which are valuable trade items. That's an interesting start. Some very valuable items we've found here so far. Bruno, let's have you come over here if you can. You're probably not going to be able to. This cabinet is locked. We should have a lockpick, though. Unless we've used them all already. We should have plenty, though. Let's see what's in here. Inside we find another jewel. Ooh, some actual pills as well. Medications are valuable to find early. Some more herbs, some water, and another piece of jewelry. We have a lot of jewels this time, which is really interesting. The things that you find in your house do seem to be somewhat randomly generated, because I've never seen quite so many jewels to begin with in the house that you start. But that doesn't mean it's necessarily going to always be like that. Erica, we're going to start doing a bit of crafting here with some of the remaining time in our day. So, there are a variety of things we can make in our house. One of the most important things we're going to want are some beds, so people can actually go sleep. We can make beds, chairs, a furnace to keep ourselves warm if it gets cold. We can make a radio so we can figure out what's going on in the city, which might be a good idea. We can make a stove so we can cook some food, which will be definitely good for us, especially since we have Bruno, who's a good cook, so he can make food with less resources wasted. We can make a moonshine still if we want to produce moonshine. We can make a metal workshop so we can make some metal tools and things, which will be very useful to us as well. Our rainwater collector will allow us to create water out of using filters. All of these things will be very nice to us, but we're going to start off by making some beds. And I think we're going to put our beds down in here. I think this room is going to be our bedroom. So we'll place our beds down there, and Erica is going to head down there and start building it. Now Bruno's going to keep digging through here for now. Roman's going to come up and start digging through here, because the sooner we can get access to these resources, the better off we're going to be. But we have very limited time in the day. So during the day, we spend our time in our house doing various work and trying to get things done. But later on, at night, that's when we have the option to go out into the city. And when night falls and it's time to explore the city, that's when you can really find some interesting things. Oh, that door's locked. Okay, so we're not going to be able to get in there yet. So let's send you down here as well, Roman, and get you to build us something. There's one bed completed. We're going to send Erica up and have her start building something as well. If we start building these now, we'll be able to actually have some beds ready for the next day. So we're going to make 2 for now. We don't need to have more than 2 at the moment. We've only got 3 people, and generally we're not going to have 2 people sleeping anyway. But by having 2 beds ready, we'll be able to sleep during the day as well if people need to, which might be a good thing for us. We're also going to produce a stove, I think, so we'll have the ability to cook food, which is a little bit more efficient than just eating it raw. So we're going to make a stove, and we'll put that over here in the kitchen, so we'll have it ready when we need it. We are running low on time, though, so we might not have time to finish this during this day. Yeah, especially not if it takes an hour to build a bed and it's already almost time up. But that's fine. We've gotten a lot of stuff done here in our apartment on our first day, and we'll hopefully be able to get more stuff done soon as well. So, nighttime is about to fall. At 8 o'clock, it turns to night, and we change what we do. So we have 3 locations we can go to. We can go to a quiet house, in a housing estate that remains almost untouched. It's a calm area of little houses with porches and gardens. Most of those houses are still inhabited. People are trying to lead normal lives there. We've got nothing to look for there, unless we're willing to steal. That's not so good. We can go to a ruined villa. They say some people still live there, against all odds. They must have some supplies stocked, like canned food and possibly bandages or medicines. But they don't want to trade. If we're desperate, we could try and steal from them. Again, 2 locations we have to steal from in the beginning. That's not good for us. However, there is the abandoned cottage. A family barricaded themselves in this house, but despite their efforts, looters got inside. It's been abandoned ever since. Still, we might find some useful things that the looters overlooked or left behind. Unfortunately, none of our adventurers here have any decent carrying capacity. They all have 10 inventory slots, which is not great, so we're not going to be able to pick up a lot of stuff in any one expedition. We're going to send Erica out to experiment today, because it doesn't seem that there's any danger in the abandoned cottage. There's no indication that there's any kind of hostiles there. So we're going to have Erica scavenge, Roman guard, and Bruno is going to sleep through the night. And we're going to go examine the abandoned cottage. We can take some things with us. However, in the future, when we go to places that have enemies, we'll be taking the knife with us. But at the moment, we know there's no enemies here, and we have no useful tools, so we're not going to take any of this stuff with us. We're just going to go scavenge and see what we can find. Alright, so here we have a house. We can move around this place as we feel appropriate, see what we can find. There's sound up here, but it looks like it's just a rat on the floor. Yeah, we're lucky here. Nothing hostile. Let's check the cabinet and see what's inside. Cabinet has some coffee, some homegrown tobacco, some fertilizer, weapon parts, and a book. Interesting. Now these things are all good for different purposes. Coffee, you can make coffee with, obviously, but it's also a trade good. We can use tobacco to make cigarettes. Fertilizer is going to be useful in the future for a variety of things. Weapon parts, again, for making weapons. And books are interesting. These give a passive mood boost, basically. Having books in your home makes your people happier because they know they have a way to sort of mentally escape the horrible war-torn situation they're in. A bunch of components, we'll take those. A bunch of wood, and we're already out of inventory space. We might be able to grab a couple more things here, but it's going to be a little bit tricky for us to get much. Looks like we're safe in here so far, though. There's nothing really hazardous in here. There's sounds outside, but I think that's still just the same rats from before. And we have no inventory space for anything else. I'm going to leave the homegrown tobacco behind and take the wood, because I have a feeling we're going to need that right now. I'm also going to leave the coffee behind and take the wood, because we're going to need this to be able to build things. But that's all we've got for right now. Let's take a peek at this and see what it has to say. A family photo of parents and 2 daughters. Good thing the girls don't resemble their father. He looks like a bear. Let's take a look around this house while we can. There's a cabinet here hidden away. Is this a locked door? Yes, it is. We have to come back here later. What is this? A note says, on the first day they robbed us. 2 days later they murdered our girls. I shot every one of them, but I don't want to use the gun anymore. It's broken and buried in the backyard. The next part looks shaky. If you're reading this, don't look for me. Wow. Okay. Well, we know there's a gun in the backyard then. I don't know if we can get out there to find it, but there may be a way to get the gun in the backyard. Let's take these boards off the door so we can get back through here easier later. There's that rat again. And such is our first night here in this war of mine. Now you'll notice at nighttime there's a couple different options available on screen. We only have the one hero, but we have a timer up top which shows us how late in the night we are. If we wait too long, we'll get trapped out in the daytime, and the snipers that are out at night will give us no end of trouble. Is this the gun? It might be the gun. Might take that with us already. Oh wow, there is another broken pistol in there. Well, I think I'm going to put the fertilizer away for now, and we'll take the gun and the weapon parts. Because that may be useful later, but that's all we have time for now. So, it also shows how many bullets we have, what night it is. We can check our inventory like this and remove things as we need to. We can run to the exit if we're worried about running out of time. We're currently in scavenge mode, so we can interact with things. If we switch to fists mode, we see our health. We see other enemies as well. We can attack, but we won't be able to scavenge. But that's good for our first night. I think we're just going to leave and we'll see what happens. Erica is back. Welcome back, Erica. And it's day 2 already. Tonight I had a really good haul. Look what I got. Got all those things we just found. Nothing went wrong. Fantastic. Alright, and now we're on day 2, and things are starting to change for our people. Erica is hungry and tired. Roman is hungry and tired. Bruno is just hungry. But that's important to keep in mind, because these effects actually do change things. Let's send Roman down here. If our people get too hungry or too tired, they may start to get in trouble. They may not be able to accomplish tasks anymore. They may start to get sick. Things may go wrong in other ways. So we're going to have to be careful. What we're going to do is we're going to cook up a couple meals. No, we don't have any fuel yet, so that's not an option yet. Okay, fair enough. Let's head over here to the workshop then. We'll maybe make some more things here to start us off. So, another thing we're going to need definitely is a metal workshop. So we're going to make one of these now. Takes many of the components and bits that we have left, but we're going to need one. So we're going to place our metal workshop down here, so we'll be able to make some metal tools and things that'll allow us to work a lot quicker. We no longer have enough to make a rainwater collector, though. We've run low on components, so that's not a great thing. We are going to make a radio, though, because the radio can give you some very useful information. I think we'll put our radio in this room here. There's another spot there. Put the radio there. That'll be fine. And that will let us hear some information about the outside world. Gotta say, we're pretty skilled if we can make... I mean, we make these beds, which are just like mattresses on pallets. But we can make a working stove, and we can make a radio, so clearly our survivors do have some survival skills. There we go. Erica has completed our metal workshop, and in here we can make a couple things. We can make crowbars, lockpicks, we can make shovels and knives, all of which are pretty darn useful tools. I suspect at the moment, though, we're going to want to make a lockpick, so we can get into more of these cabinets and hopefully find more valuables in our own home before we have to go elsewhere. Let's have Bruno quickly check the radio, though. Ooh. Listening to City Today. The rebel leader instructed us to warn the listeners not to cross the front line. Failure to comply could result in death. We can tune the radio and listen to other stations. It's classical music. The upcoming day should be nice and warm, perfect for a stroll in the park. Oh, weather station. You have no idea what's going on here, do you? What other stations do we have right now? Despite desperate counterattacks by the rebels trying to lift the siege of Pogoren, the city remains cut off. Government forces do not allow any aid to reach the city, claiming it would end up in rebel hands. One more channel is Radio Visenya. Now let's stick on the classical music channel. Leave that there. Well then. Alright, let's take a quick look at our construction options here before we do anything else. If we want to make a rainwater collector, we need more components. All of this is going to need more stuff, which is going to be a problem for us for a while. We could make some fuel out of wood, though, and that would allow us to go and start cooking. So we're going to make a couple pieces of fuel. And we're going to try and make a lockpick or two, because that should give us the ability to get into some of these cabinets. Oh, we no longer have enough components for that. Well, that's the crowbar. Lockpick we can do one of. Alright, I'd rather make a crowbar than a lockpick. Crowbars are also able to smash open locked things, but they're a lot louder. So lockpicks are good for getting into areas where enemies are. So I probably shouldn't have used the lockpicks I had already, but getting supplies early on is very valuable. We might wait one more day and then make an actual crowbar instead. There are no smokes left. People are going to be low on smokes for a while. This is locked? Yes, it is. At least we've cleared out the rubble, so we can get in there when we need to. Are there any other piles of rubble we can't get to? This is locked, but I believe so is this. So that's not going to help us. That's going to be definitely crowbar material for sure. So let's have Roman go to sleep. Let's have Arica go to sleep. Because while we don't have a whole lot we can do during the day, if they're sleeping, they won't be quite as tired later. So it's not the most exciting, but at least it means that we're not in too much trouble. Now, Bruno, you've made some fuel, so you're going to go cook up what food we've got and hopefully keep us alive that way. You can turn cooked food and water, as well as some fuel, or rather, food and water and fuel into cooked food, which is more valuable for us, for actually keeping us fed. So we're going to make 2 of those right now, and hopefully that'll be enough to keep us alive for the time being. We're going to need to go find some food soon, otherwise this situation could get pretty dire. Thankfully, though, none of our characters started out sick or anything like that. No wounds came into the early game, so we don't have to deal with that kind of problem right away either. Have a little sit there, Bruno, and we don't have much else we can do today because we're low on resources, so I think we're just going to end this day and go to the next one. Nobody's come to the door today to invite us to do anything exciting, so I think we're just going to end this day and go back and see what else we can scavenge from that area. So, end the day. Night has come. Everybody is well rested again. There's a new location or 2 that have appeared. We can go to the shelled school if we want. The school has been shelled several times. Unfortunately, most of the cellars have collapsed, so it might be a good idea to bring a shovel and maybe some other tools. They say some homeless people have taken refuge inside the building. So there might be some interesting stuff in there. The supermarket. The supermarket is located in the area remaining under military control, but people are still trying to scavenge it for supplies. We can expect to meet other scavengers there, so it's probably best not to get in their way. Some doors might be locked, so a crowbar could come in handy. We're going to go back to the abandoned cottage, though, because there's a lot of supplies still in here that we haven't been able to get. So we're going to send Erica back in there again, or Roman? Erica? We'll send Erica again. We're going to have Roman guard again, and we will prepare for another venture into the abandoned cottage. We're not have anything to bring with us again, because we still don't have the resources to make a crowbar, and we're not going to need the knife here. So let's go see what we can find, and hopefully there's something good. So we know we need components, but we're also looking for food and other valuables. So let's take a peek through here, take a look in the fridge. Oh baby, look at all this food. Food, vegetables, and herbs, all valuable stuff. Water, which we're going to need as well, we'll take all of that. That's an excellent start for us. The sugar would be nice. We can use that to make moonshine if we want, but at the moment we're probably just going to leave it behind. The main thing we want right now, though, is components, so we can get the crowbar, which will allow us to be a little bit more versatile in our travels. Here we have some shell casings, lots of components, bits of wood, mechanical parts. We don't want to take all of this stuff, though, because some of it's not going to be particularly useful to us. We'll have to come back later. This is the problem with only having people with 10 spaces of inventory. There are some who have 12, 15, or even 17 inventory spaces, which would be much better for picking up all of this loot. But since we don't have access to them, we're going to have to just make do with what we've got. I think I'm going to put one of those meats back in the fridge, so I can take some more other things with me today, because we don't really have the inventory space to justify taking these herbs, single herbs and single pieces of meat right now, when our resources are so limited. So let's grab more components, because those will be useful to us for making a variety of things, and then we'll move on from here and see what we can do the next day. We're very limited in our ability to gain supplies right now, but hopefully that won't be the case forever. Grab some more resources, there we go. That's basically a full inventory. We've got a good amount of electric or components here. We've got a little bit of wood, a bunch of water, and food, so our food situation will be quite as dire for the next little while, so that's good. In the meantime, though, we're just going to have to get out of here. We can't carry anything else, so back to the shelter we go. Very quick scavenging days today, not quite as stressful as they'll inevitably become. And here we are on day 3. Let's see what happened during the night today. We had a good haul, but we've been raided. Someone came at night to take our things by force. Erica had been searching for supplies and brought some interesting things home. Someone tried to rob us. They didn't seem very determined, so we managed to fend them off. We had some weapons, but not enough for everyone. None of us were wounded, though, and the attackers didn't steal anything. We were able to defend ourselves. Thankfully, we had that knife. If we didn't have that knife, they probably would have wounded one of us and taken our things, so it's a very good thing we had what we had. However, I think we're going to be ending our episode for today. So thank you very much for watching, everyone. This has been Vanguard of Valor playing some of this war of mine. If you enjoyed today's episode, let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. I look forward to seeing you again in the next one. And until then, bye-bye.